Put your hands together. Start clapping right now for the incomparable
I've had quite a week still trying to distill all of my thoughts and feelings around the presidential debate. Okay. I live in New York, and in New York there are a lot of parks, and in some of those parks, you'll see, it's like an iconic thing about New York, that there'll be somebody playing chess in the park, right? And sometimes they're just two old men playing chess or checkers. Sometimes it's somebody that's like, hey, I'll play anybody, I'm practicing for a tournament. And a lot of times it's somebody who's playing chess, but they're playing for like money. Like, you put 5 down, I bet you can't beat me, and I'll put 5 down, and we'll see. And then, you know, speed chess as well. They got the clock next to them, bow, 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 right? And I've played before, and I'm not good at chess. And it's crazy how fast you can lose. Sometimes I'll be playing chess in the park, and he'll be like, checkmate, but it sounds like there's no way. Then I'll grab, I have a chess book, and I'll look at the board and look at the book. Like, damn, okay. That wasn't that many moves. I don't know what else I was supposed to do. You know? And I don't know, I feel like watching the election and watching the debate felt a lot like that. It felt like bad chess moves. We've watched a lot of debates that Trump has been in, and we've gone 2 for 2 this year with having remarkably historic debates, both of which were like, whew. You know what I mean? Like, you get done and you're like, whew. Felt like I was up there. And there was a moment in the first debate that was echoed in this debate. There was a moment back when Trump was debating Biden, and I've talked about it before, where there's a second there where Trump looked at Biden, and for a split second, he wasn't trying to be president. He wasn't even trying to debate. He was literally like, hey, he good? Like, no, y'all, stop. Is he good, though? It was a different tactic than we've ever seen before from Kamala debating Trump, because she debated him the way that I think a lot of us might debate him. You know? I'm not gonna speak for anybody in here, anybody listening to me. I don't know if you're like a political analyst. I don't know how involved you are with politics, but she debated him the way that I think we debate him sometimes in our heads, which is to be like, what did you just... Because most politicians are not... Hear me out. Most politicians don't behave like people. And when I say that, I want you to understand, I mean, maybe they care about people, maybe they care about getting something good done, maybe they care about forwarding their agenda, but they don't react to things, and they don't behave like people, like just regular people. It's why they feel fake, is because they can't just be like, ah, shit. You see, man? Do you see what I mean? And it's why people from 2015 on have gravitated towards Trump, because he feels like they would react. Like he will say, oh, shit. But then you look at someone like Kamala, and she's a very polished person, very accomplished person. But in that debate, she was having moments that for the first time ever felt like moments that we might have up there. Does that make sense? Like when Trump would debate other Republicans leading up to the nomination, or when Trump would debate Hillary or Biden, there was a sense of like, wait, are you not going to say anything about the thing that he just said just now? Why are you staring forward, acting like what you heard wasn't wrong? Why are you like looking to the moderators to fact check? There's nothing more exhausting than when someone who could be a good player is looking at the ref to be like, help. You know what I mean? You say he's lying right now. Like he just lied now, so say it now. Don't later be like, and then they didn't even help. Do you see what I mean? We've watched it happen. We've watched, he was in those debates. Republicans did not know what to do with this man. He was over there telling Ted Cruz to his face, your wife is ugly. And because Ted Cruz doesn't move like a person, doesn't react like a person, he didn't slap him in his face in that moment. No, Trump has shown that the American people were ready and willing for someone unorthodox. You know how much he would have surged in the polls if he had walked over from his podium and was like, what? And then slapped Trump in his face. I know at least his wife would have liked it. I don't even remember what he said about Marco Rubio. I just remember Marco Rubio looking littler and littler every day. Marco Rubio started showing up. I was like, is he 4'8"? Nobody knew what to do. Journalists didn't know what to do. Journalists were like, but you can't say that about the press. But he did it. What are you going to do? And so now you watch this debate with Kamala, and we've all heard it and probably said it ourselves, that she baited him a lot, but he bit every time. And this is my thing with that, is that decorum aside, don't you want someone representing you that could maybe let something slide? It's got to be tough to be in the public eye. It's got to be tough to be and feel slighted all the time by lots of people that you meet that you don't know, and they hate you. But also, you're here to do a job. You're here to do a job on the highest level. So a lot of people won't like you. No matter who wins as president, there will be people who are very upset. Do you really want someone who could be so easily irked? Kamala said, nobody. Kamala said that people leave his rallies early out of boredom and maybe confusion. I don't remember the other thing she said, but she said people were leaving early. And this is what's so interesting about that. We can talk about how much it's warranted or how much of it he egged on or whatever, but there has not been in a very long time a political figure that is as hated as Trump by a lot of people. So a lot of people have said every type of thing about him. A lot of people have drawn him. Do you know how much you gotta hate somebody to draw them? A lot of people... Drawings take time. It's one thing to curse somebody out real quick. It's a totally different thing to... No, wait, I'm getting his ass. I'm getting his ass. I'm gonna take break, but when I get back, he about to get it, all right? So all manner of things have been said to and about him, about himself, about his family, about how he behaves, about how he actually feels, about Americans in America, all of it. But this thing hadn't been said. And it turns out that this was the thing to say. This was the thing. If you're talking about feelings, this was the thing. And that's it. Look, as someone raised by black women, don't. Black women know how to hurt feelings. Only a black woman would be like, no, go to his little rally and see him. That's how confident she was in what she was saying, that she told us to go. She was like, look, I'm gonna do something I wouldn't normally do. Go ahead and go. You'll leave early, don't worry. That was the thing. That was the thing. And you could see it happen. You could see it, oh. On his face, you could see it happen. This dude who has held the highest office has been called a traitor. He's been called a Russian asset. He's been called all manner of things. But this was the thing. And it's because deep down at his core, even his supporters will admit that deep down at the base of who he is, Trump is an entertainer. And all I'm saying is, as a fellow entertainer, if someone had said, Josh, people leave your shows early. Out of boredom and confusion, I'd be like, oh, okay, we fighting, say less. This was the thing. That was the thing that like broke through this weird armor. Because I've noticed that Trump specifically has a thing that has always kind of existed in politics, but has never existed to this degree, right? Where Trump has a filter created by his base, by the people who like him, love him, and everything, that he can say whatever he wants, but they will distill it for him for the rest of us. He'll say whatever, and then they will be like, what he meant was... But what he meant shouldn't have been what he said. Because he said this, and you're saying he meant something else, but he also had access to the words you just said. So are you sure he meant what you're saying and not what he said? I'd like to think that when you say something as the commander-in-chief, you mean what you said when you said it. You didn't say something being like, they'll figure it out. And because he has that filter, because that sort of buffer exists between him and like sound arguments and logic, I don't even mean that as like a diss. I literally mean he could say something and then it could spin out past something that he meant for real, right? Because, as an example, that's like Trump's vaccine. I know we forget that, and I've talked about it before, but that's like, as far as presidents go, as far as you getting credit for the things you do while you're president, that's Trump's vaccine. But when he tried to say, guys, we did it, we have a vaccine, and his audience booed, he realized what it's like. Oh, I don't necessarily control what goes out, even though I said it. I said you should get vaccinated, and then they booed me. So clearly, it's not like a one-to-one. What I say is not, it won't be exactly what they do. So now I'm also trying to figure out how to like keep them on my side, but win them over, but lead them. I think in that moment you saw him get really worried and confused, and he immediately backtracked. He was like, or don't. And I said all of that to say that the screen, the buffer, the thing that he usually has, I'm not saying he lost it for good in this debate, but he did lose it a little bit. Because I grew up in Louisiana, and I know people who are like hardcore in the MAGA movement, like people who are like, no, Trump is the guy. He is going to fix everything, right? I've grown up with these people, and we know each other well. And this was the first time that they were like, that wasn't great. Because even in debates against Hillary, they were like, no, okay, he said the thing, and I know it's a good soundbite for you liberals, but like, this is what he meant. And the thing that they're saying he meant, which is what they heard, which is what they decided to hear, is a reasonable thing when they start saying it from their mouth. So now I'm like, oh, okay, if that's what you think, that's what he said, then I can see why you're still like really gung-ho while I'm more put off by what he said, you know? But this was the first time that there was almost like a shared language. There was like a shared reality around like, what's happening to him right now? And he started to spiral, and he said, hey, look, they asked him a question. I can't remember if it was about immigration or the economy, but they asked him a question that should have been a layup for him. And he was still like, can I address the rallies for a second? Which, as a fellow entertainer, I understand. If someone had said that to me, I would have also been like, hey, listen, let me explain, all right? It was a Friday late show. They were tired, okay? You can't put that on me. And he said, can I address the rallies real quick? Because people don't go to her rallies, all right? They don't go to her rallies at all. The people that go to her rallies, she got to bust them in, and then they don't even have fun while they're there. She doesn't have any snacks. Now I'm paraphrasing, but like... But he did. He hit back with like rallies. They asked him underhanded. Should have knocked it out of the park, and he got distracted by rallies and crowd size and things that make sense as a priority if you're an entertainer. But if you're about to be the leader of the free world, they shouldn't matter as much. You know? And you could see him kind of spiraling after that, because he was a little frustrated by like this thing that broke through. Then that never happens. Trump is a very hard person to debate because people like him are very hard to debate because they're not trying to have a debate with you. They're trying to make you look dumb. And because Trump is like very good at making other people look dumb, he's very good at debating. You see what I mean? But this was the first time that he was like, what is she talking about? My crowd. And so, you know, he had a bit of a spiral. And before you know it, he was like, look, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, they're eating, and you could tell in that moment that Trump wanted to say another animal, but he couldn't think of one. Because he says pets, but pets is off rhythm. If you go back and watch, it's like they're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, they're eating... And you can see for a split second the wheels turn of he's like trying to think of, they're eating the bird. No, we all eat birds. They're eating the pets. You know? And then, you know, Kamala does a thing, and it's a thing that we've done when we've been watching debates, when we've been watching rallies, when we've been watching them on the news. She does a thing that we've done before, that a lot of other politicians have not done on stage with Trump. She laughed at him. And I think there's context to that laugh, because I'm not trying to get too, like, I don't know, like too much of a deep dive into it, but like there's context with that laugh, because she's not laughing at him, she's laughing at what he said. And that's really different. It's one thing to say Trump is a joke and Trump is a joke, and you could make the argument that the reason Trump became president was because Obama made him a joke. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Obama made fun of this man and he just sat there quiet, you know? And then years later, he was like, peaceful transition of power, huh? There's a big difference between laughing at Trump and laughing at what he said. You can think that Trump is a joke all you want, but he laughed his way to the presidency. But then when you laugh at what he says, when you take the power out of what he's saying, that's a very different thing. You know? She laughed at what he said for a second. And then there was a second, it was very slight, but there was a second where she was still smiling, but she wasn't laughing. And then there was a second where she wasn't smiling and she wasn't laughing. And it was reminiscent of like, yo, Yo. No. Wait, yo. You know? And that's my thing, is I'm like, I look at that, I'm like, wow, that's different, you know? It's very, very different. And the thing I've noticed in both these debates is that they're not even about who did well. They're just about who did the least poorly. That's what we get stuck on. Like, it wasn't even, last debate wasn't even about Trump performing well, it was about Biden crashing out. And then this debate wasn't as much about Kamala winning as much as Trump. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. They're eating flamingos. They're eating the pets. No. And it was the first time in all the times that he's debated that Trump looked 78. Because he's 78. And he's got a lot of energy, so we let a lot of those years slide. We don't feel like he's 78. You know what I mean? Like I've known grandpas like Trump. I've known grandpas that were like, oh, he's got so much energy and he's so spry. And he's eating a lot of fast food. But he's 78. You know what I mean? But I guess this is one of my main things about it, is that like, it was the first time I saw him look out of his element on like a really important moment, you know? And I don't want people to think that this is like That's it. That's all that needed. Not at all. It's harrowing how little it actually moves the needle. Almost everyone feels the way they felt before, even after we saw what we saw. And we agree that it didn't go well for one person. But we're still like, nah, I'm still gonna go the way I was gonna go. That's interesting, you know, that after all of this, they're like tied. Wow. They're tied. In lots of places, they're tied. It's not even like it's working out to be a tie because all this place and all this. No, in a lot of places, they watch that and they were like, I don't know. That's pretty wild. You know? The first time he really looked 78, because it was the first time he said something that, like, a grandpa would say right before you put him in a home. You know what I mean? Because be honest. If you let a lot of stuff slide as like a child or grandchild, and then grandpa been living by himself. But if one day out of nowhere, and you haven't seen where he saw this on the internet, he just walks up and he's like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. You're like, okay, that's the last straw. I let you put the remote in the mailbox several times. But this is the one that I can't abide. This is, because it really has consequence. And I think that we live well enough here, even though I'm not even pretending things are just phenomenal. I'm just saying day to day, by and large, we do get by. And I think that when you get by, especially comfortably, it can feel like a game. You know, it can feel like something that doesn't matter as much. You know, and it can feel like something that you're just playing at. And I think that, you know, it's important to remember that all the things that these people say, these are very powerful people already, and one of them is going to become even more powerful. Everything that they say, everything they do has ripple effects. You know, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. It's like a meme. It's like a thing that's starting up. But it's also, which is very, very important, because we did a thing back in 2014, and we've done it ever since, that I don't know how to fix it. I'm just saying what happened from 2014 on. Anyone online that was even all the way from like crazy people down to people who were slightly conservative, right? From 2014 on, were just called Nazis outright. Right? Anything. And even a question, oh, you Nazi, right? To the point where Nazi started to not mean anything. And when it doesn't mean anything, it's hard to make it mean something when like an actual Nazi shows up, right? And I want to be clear here. The thing that Trump said, it is a lie started by a neo-Nazi. I don't care how many people on Twitter try to find something to make it make sense after the fact. It's a thing that a guy said at a community meeting where he was specifically targeting the Haitian community, and he said that we will not be safe the more Haitians we let into it. That's also the other part of the soundbite. Outside of the dogs and cats, this dude was specifically saying, and he gets kicked out of the community meeting. That part also didn't make it into the viral clip, right? And so when people are saying, well, I saw, and they have these fourth-hand accounts of like my brother's, sister's, uncle's girlfriend has a cat that's missing. And they try to put stuff together. There's even a video going around of some people cooking a cat that's from a year ago and not in Springfield. And then that became like evidence. There's another picture of a guy that was walking with two geese that they said he was on his way to go cook, when actually it was found out that this dude was pulling these geese away from a car accident where they got hit, and that he's probably not Haitian. But even so, death threats, bomb threats, all of this horrible, horrific stuff has been happening to the Haitian community, to the point where apparently maybe this isn't true, but apparently even the person in the Facebook group that first posted about, oh, my niece's cat is missing, and thinking, she has even come out and been like, I never meant for it to turn into this. That was just a Facebook post. Maybe she was having a goof with a friend. She didn't think it would come out of the mouth of the former president in a debate where he was flailing. So all these things have real consequences. It's not a game, and we are not chess pieces, you know? And even after the debate, you know, it almost like hijacked the whole narrative of Trump losing the debate and Kamala winning it. Now it became about this weird thing with hate. And it's also already, in that little bit of time since the debate, switched into Africans, because now they were just like, oh, wait, we got it wrong. It's not Haitians, it's Africans that are eating the dogs and cats. And so now it's already shifted just to try to find some truth out of a thing that was a lie, right? And you have J.D. Vance afterwards who, you know, pretty much probably fed that to Trump. And he's sitting there talking to Collins in an interview, talking about, okay, whether we find out that this is somewhat true or only a little bit true, was not willing to call it a lie, right? He says that, you know, we don't have evidence. And look, this is me paraphrasing just for the sake of brevity, but basically we don't have evidence that there's no evidence. And the thing that is like so brain broken about that logic is that it creates a tidal wave of insanity until you can finally make something that you want to be true, right? Because it could ruin anybody's life. For instance, when you look at J.D. Vance, there is no evidence that there's no evidence that he didn't bang a couch. Do you see? Like, do you see how that's an unending thing? How it could ruin your life and never go away? How you can't even sit anymore? Because people see you next to a love seat and wonder? Do you see how insane that is? A lie that we know is a lie? But we'll work our way to figure out how we can make it true, you know? So just please, I mean, look, we watched the debate, and it was everything from a little bit boring at times to thrilling. We shouldn't even be debating like this anymore, to be honest with you. We've ruined the debate. The debate is too much like a chess game now, where it's like 90 seconds, 90 seconds, make your move, make your move. That's not how you solve problems. When you go back before debates were televised, the people that showed up were willing to be there for hours. And the candidates had a long time to lay out their position. So there actually wasn't as much of a chance to fully dodge questions. Because they were like, what are you going to do about immigration? And you have until you figure it out. But when it's 90 seconds, you can be like, what are you going to do about immigration? Well, I believe... Is time up yet? No. They used to take forever, because that's as long as it takes to figure out a problem. And it's as long as it takes to figure out what someone's real piece on something is, you know? If you could figure out big problems in 90 seconds, we probably wouldn't have any, you know? So just watching this thing of like, and then, it feels crazy. It makes me feel crazy, because I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. They're not going to make us feel like they have a plan in 90 seconds, you know? And there's too much of an opportunity to get derailed, you know? There was one point where it felt like maybe the only time in the debate where Kamala seemed a little angry. There was only one point, and I don't even remember exactly what led up to it, but she basically was talking about how Trump, which I forgot this happened, because when you live in like a 24-hour, 36-hour news cycle, everything is just sort of going, and there's no time to latch on to anything that matters, and there's no time for like real nuance of an issue. You're just going and going and going. But he did invite the Taliban to Camp David. And I remember when that happened being like, aren't they not supposed to be? The Taliban. Okay. And I remember that moment distinctly because out of nowhere, Kamala turned to Trump and said, this. And you can tell she's trying to find a word that won't get bleeped. And I know it because she had to reset. She actually closed her eyes for a second. This. Once again, as someone who was raised by black women, anytime my mama looked at me and went, you. In her mind, she killed me. You know, in her mind, my life flashed before her eyes. She would come back. This former president. All right, that one will work. You know, she pointed out something that we all saw. We just didn't seem to remember. Or maybe it wasn't that big of a deal at the time, you know. It's important to remember that we're not like just playing teams. It feels very much like teams, which I think is why so many people are like dug in, and no matter what happens, they're like, I'm not switching teams. But this is not a game, and we're not chess pieces. You know, it's very important. You register to vote. It's very important that you go vote and everything, because it's not going to be won by memes. You know, you can't like internet your way to fixing everything. You know, because I don't know. I don't know how everyone in this room feels or anyone watching feels. I just know that like I just want to feel comfortable with who is representing me out in the world and in front of the country. I want someone who is willing to maybe move a little bit like I would move. Maybe play chess the way I play chess. And I'm not even good at chess. You know, I just, you know, we all, everyone, no matter where you fall on party lines or anything, everybody wants somebody with a plan. And they asked them. They asked him, it's, you want to repeal and replace Obamacare, and you say that you have a plan. We're asking right now, what is your plan and how would you enact it? And he didn't answer the first time. But when they asked again, they were like, after 9 years, what is your plan to repeal and replace Obamacare? Because I need to be clear here that like, if something is a good idea, a really good idea, I don't care what party it comes from. If something is a smart idea, because I am not playing teams, because I don't feel like this is a game. This feels very real. The things that get said in a presidential debate that are funny, that are a joke for a little while, lead to death threats and bomb threats in real life. All of this is real. So if somebody has a plan and it's a good plan, not only will I hear it out, I might even help them try to make it happen, because it helps a lot of people and it gets us somewhere, right? And so they asked him, after 9 years trying to repeal and replace Obamacare, what is your plan? And he was like, look, I have concepts of a plan. I'm starting to feel like if he had repealed and replaced Obamacare back when he was president, not only would we not have health care, but I'm pretty sure our doctors would shoot us.
Make some noise for Josh Tassi!
Wow, thank you so much for having me. This is so cool. I am happy to spend the 4th of July with you. Maybe you're not aware of some of our customs on the 4th of July. One of them that sticks out is a hot dog eating contest. And I've been traveling the world, and a lot of people think that they know what a hot dog is. They even think that they have their own version of a hot dog. And as I've traveled the world, I can honestly say that no, you don't. Because you all here, I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, but you have bratwurst. That's not hot dog at all. That's good. You have to understand, to make a hot dog, like bratwurst is beef or veal. It's a meat with herbs and spices in it, cooked well. A hot dog, especially in America, a hot dog is something that to make you first have to find. And when I say find, I mean like putting together a proper hot dog in its casing and to serve is a lot like a witch's spell. You have to find meat that's first on the floor. It's very important this meat is on the floor. If the meat is not on the floor, you might not be making a hot dog. You have to find this meat that's on the floor. You have to couple it all together. You have to push it through this machine. And bratwurst, once again, beef, veal, you can only hold together a proper hot dog with hate and with hate and like a touch, like a dash, just a little bit of poverty, right? So you have some hate, you have, you can get a side of anger in there too. And then you put it together into a hot dog, you wrap it up nicely so it looks like it might be edible. Because I don't know if you've had a hot dog. In order to prepare a hot dog, it's not like preparing a bratwurst. You have to boil a hot dog. And in order to boil the hot dog, it means you do have to ruin some water. You put the hot dog in the water, you boil it up, that cooks the hot dog. Cooks is a strong word. What are you cooking? It's demon meat. But you boil the hot dog up, so then you pull it out, that's cooked. You then put it in a bun to cover up that you're eating a hot dog. The water you have to dispose of like toxic waste. A lot of people will pour this down the sink. Don't do that. Don't get that mixed in with the regular. When I was little, I had a friend who his mom had a flower garden, and he'd make hot dogs after school, and then he'd pour the water in the hot dog garden, and all of the flowers died. Because that is runoff poison water. But yeah, you boil a hot dog, and then you eat it, and when you eat it, you're supposed to close your eyes and pretend you're chewing something else. because this is going to be nasty. You can try to dress it up with mustard, ketchup, with mayo relish, with whatever manner of things people do. Some people will act really, really holier than thou about how they prepare their hot dog, as if a hot dog is not a mystery of meat mushed together. I say all that because on the 4th of July, there is a hot dog eating contest that takes place, and the winner this year, once again, is a man named Joey Chestnut. And this year, he ate 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes, which is the correct response. You know how I said that when you felt physically ill? That's how you're supposed to feel on the 4th of July after eating as many hot dogs as possible. I believe the record is 76 hot dogs. And I remember one time my buddy entered a hot dog eating contest, and he was super excited about it. And he had watched Kobayashi, he had watched Joey Chestnut, and he thought he could do it too. He was like, if they can do it, I can do it. Let's give it a try, right? And so he entered the hot dog eating contest, and it wasn't like the official Nathan's hot dog. It was just like a local one that was happening on 4th of July. And he entered the contest, sat down with the other contestants, and then over the course of 10 minutes, my friend ate 2. This man ate 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes. We were watching it like, when is he gonna kick into gear? Like, when is it? There are other people that are literally like swallowing hot dogs like, as fast as possible. There was one dude that was this was incredible. He was screaming hot dogs down, right? He was like, oh! Meanwhile, our buddy, hot dogs in 10 minutes. We went from cheering to booing. We started out supportive. Initially, we were like, yeah, get him, you can do it. And then, when it was clear he couldn't, we were like, stop, you wasting a hot dog. And when he got done, we asked him, hey, what happened? We drove you here. You the one who wanted to go way out the way to enter this contest to waste everybody's time. 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes is not a contest, that's a meal. What's wrong with you? And he was like, I panicked. What are you panicking about? He's like, I saw everybody else do it, and they were so fast. I was like, how are they not choking? And then I remembered I might choke. So then I started chewing extra. I was scared to choke. I was like, if you had at least choked, then 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes would be more reasonable. You got people over here fighting to get hot dogs now. He over here chewing responsibly. I do my best when I go anywhere to be as good of a guest as I can. You know, it means a lot to me to have me over here and for me to be your guest for a little while. I've been looking forward to this trip for a long time, and I'm always a little tense when I'm a guest, though. You know, even if it's just visiting a friend's house, you want to be a good guest. You don't want to leave and then have them be like, never again. You know, like I get nervous to be seen as a bad guest. I don't want anything to go wrong. Like I've had to stay over, you know, for a couple nights at friends' houses, and they're like, "Oh, make yourself at home. What's mine is yours." I feel like that's a trap. You know, because you really make yourself at home and then you find out how much they mean it later. It's like, I'd rather just act like I shouldn't be in here at all. Quiet as a mouse, you know. I'll just act like I broke in and just try to affect as little as possible in the home. And they'll be like, what? He's such a good guest. We didn't even know he was here. One time I got so stressed out about being a guest at my friend's house while they were out of town that I just never went. And they were like, Josh, our apartment looks amazing. Did you do all this cleaning before you left? I was like, yep, you know it. Wanted to leave it better than I found it, you know. Because even being the guest at a party, that's like a short-term guest. When you're just there for the party, you're just there for, you know, a few hours, maybe half the day if it goes long. And I'm terrified to be a bad guest there. I just don't want to be remembered in a bad light. And there was this one time where I went to a friend's party, and I'm not great at parties to begin with. You know, I'm very much in the corner, or if I know one person at the party, that will be the person that I'm talking to the entire party. Like it will be a burden on them. Sometimes I see a friend that I know at a party and no one else, and I'm like, ooh, you about to have a bad time at this party. I hate that for you. I'm very sorry. But it's either talk to you or talk to a stranger, and come on. And so, you know, I was at this party, and my friend who actually invited me to the party was late. We were supposed to meet up together, and I misunderstood the text message. I thought they were already in there. So I knock on the door, I meet the host, I tell him, you know, oh, I'm friends with, and then he lets me in, which is a huge mistake. Because now I'm just sort of standing awkwardly while other people have a great time. And so I was like, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? This is the fail-safe. Every time you need a break from social interaction, or you just need to get your bearings together because you're in a public place and you're sort of freaking out, you go to the bathroom. The bathroom is the safe haven, right? And so I walk to the bathroom, I close the door behind me, and it's a little dim in the bathroom, but I use the bathroom, right? Other reason to go. And as I'm stepping away from the toilet, I hear this little crunch, like under my feet, and I look at it, and it's all of this glass under my feet, and it looks like the actual light bulb either popped or broke or something, and then now I've stepped in it. And as I really start to look around the bathroom, I realized that it is an absolute disaster in there. It is horrifically bad. So the bathroom mirror is smashed. I didn't notice it at first when I walked in, and the glass is in the sink, and there's a little bit of blood in the sink, right? And so I'm standing there, and I look over at the tub, and the shower curtain is pulled back, and there's a fur coat in the tub. And I'm like, all these things are too much for one thing. You know what I mean? Like this, This would be a shutting the bathroom down for a short period of time at the party if just one of them happened, and all of them are happening right now. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. I flush. That's as much as I can clean up right now. And then I'm a bit panicked, so I get ready to just get out of the bathroom, because if I can get out scot-free, if no one sees me come out of the bathroom, someone else can address this thing, because I don't know anyone here. My only friend is late, and the host has just seen me once. So I get ready to, I don't even, admittedly, this is gross, sorry, but I wasn't even gonna wash my hands, because I was like, there's a whole bunch of blood in there anyway. They'd be dirtier than when they were unwashed. And so I get ready to pull on the doorknob, and I hear a knock. And I can't open the door. There's no way I could open the door and be like, all yours. You know? It's crazy in there. And so I hear the knock, and I think to myself, oh no. There's no way. First of all, if you need to go to the bathroom, the last thing you want is for someone to open the door and be like, all right, before you get in there, I just want you to know none of this is my fault, okay? Before you walk in with judgment, just know anything can happen to anybody at any point. Like, if you had been a little quicker with your feet, this would have been you, okay? I don't know what to do as I'm just standing there. And I'm admittedly standing there for like way too long. Like, and I hear a knock again. And I'm like, all right, I gotta do something. I gotta buy myself some time. And so I just say, 1 second. That's bought me 1 second. I have to use it wisely. And in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, I could try to clean up. I'm over here in my head freaking out because this is my worst nightmare. I'm gonna look like a terrible guest. I'm at a party where I don't know anybody, and I'm gonna look like I destroyed this bathroom. And so I'm Googling all types of stuff. I'm over here Googling, does glass flush? Like, does glass flush? How fast can you get blood out of the sink? If you were to look at my Google search history on this night, it would look like I definitely killed someone. Or at least a small animal. Because I was also Googling, like, does fur disintegrate? Like, and so, I just spent another minute and a half sweating and freaking out. And then I hear a knock, but this knock is like thicker. It's just like strong. It's clearly a different knock. It's clearly a different person. And that person is like, hey, come on, people waiting. I'm like, people? People are waiting. Okay, all right. People implies more than one person, which does imply, plural, and plural could just be two. It could just be the initial guy that knocked and is very patient, or maybe left. Who knows? Maybe he had to use the bathroom so bad that he left the party completely. But this person is adamant. Hey, I got to get in there, right? And he said, people are waiting. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, 2 people are waiting. And then he yells out, you got a line out here. What's happening in there? And I looked down at my phone, and I had been in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. Like I had let this go way too far. And so I truly, I froze. I didn't know what to do at all. It's like your absolute worst nightmare as a person that's like gets weird in like social interactions. To actually have this weird thing happen to you is like, I think maybe this is hell. I think maybe I've died. And so I'm pacing back and forth in the bathroom, which is only breaking more light bulb glass. And I finally look out of the little window, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to leave. Like I'm gonna have to jump out of the window. And in my like panic, I forgot that we were on the first floor, so it wasn't like a big jump or anything. But I did have to climb out of a window that wasn't man-sized. Luckily, neither am I. I was squeezing my hips at like an angle, like I put my hips like diagonal to the edges of the window to get as much space as possible, and I wiggled out. I fell out of the window, and I tried as much as I could to like pull the window back up from outside so that people wouldn't be like, oh, whoever it was went out the window. And then I was like, what do I do though? What if someone saw me go in, remembers me perfectly even though they don't know me, and could point me out, you know? Because I wear the same thing every day. And so I'm like, the only option I have is to go back in. Is to go back in and join the line for the bathroom. And so I walk around the house and I'm thinking to myself, okay, all I gotta do is watch out for the host. His host was greeting me when I first walked in. As long as the host is like got to that point in the party where they're not greeting everybody and they're not answering the door every time, I should be good. And so I wait. Some other people were arriving and they knock on the door. Someone else opens the door. I'm like, this is my chance. I sneak in behind those two other people and I immediately walk to the line for the bathroom. And luckily, my buddy who was late was in the back of the line, and he's like, can you just believe this? No, I do my best to be like a good house guest, you know, and especially when I travel, because when I travel, I have to do it as an American. I have to travel as an American now. You know? And it's like... I'm traveling more than I ever have in my life, experiencing new places for the first time. But one thing that I will say is, okay, there used to be a time where you would travel when you were from the U.S. You would go to other places and you would say that you were from the U.S. and people, there was a shine to it. There genuinely was like this like magnificent shine around you and your passport. People had questions for you. You know, you would say you were from the U.S. and they'd be like, oh, blue jeans. Wow. And then over time, the shine started to wear off a little bit, you know, like the way that we were perceived on the world stage started to change, and you would tell people that you were from the U.S. and they'd be like, oh yes, yeah, Beyonce. And now, travel the world, and look, people ask me. I don't go around telling everyone my business all the time. People ask me, hell, where are you from? And I go, oh, it's... you know, it's American. And they're like, what? What? I didn't hear. Oh, you know, it's United States. What? I'm American. I'm from the U.S. From America. And I've traveled these past 2 weeks to Paris, Dublin, Brussels, Antwerp, now here. And there is a similarity. This happened more in Brussels and Antwerp than anywhere else, but it has also happened here where people will ask me where I'm visiting from, and then I will tell them. And there's a look and a noise you make that's genuinely offensive. Like it is. Once again, you asked me. I didn't say anything. I walk into the shop. Y'all are the ones, you know, asking questions and stuff. And then I say that I'm from the U.S. I'm visiting from America. And then you go, oh. You get the face or you get the noise. You don't get both. Oh. I grew up in Louisiana, all right? And when I was, sure. And when I was in Louisiana, you know, I have friends who live in all different parts of the state. And one of my friends, he actually lives he's in like a rural area. He's in like, you know, some swamp area near the bayou and everything. There's a bunch of things floating in the water, a bunch of predators out there. You know, he does his hunting. He comes back home. That's mainly how he sustains himself and everything. And there was one time he was having a barbecue. A bunch of friends came over, and one of his buddies, his buddy Spence, came over and was having a cigarette off by himself. He walked off away from the barbecue to have his cigarette, and then sometime later he comes back over, and in the back door, the way that a lot of the houses are built in Louisiana is you have your door and you have your screen door, and the screen door can keep out the bugs while also letting air flow into the home and everything. And so he pops his head near the screen door, and his head only. And Spence leans in and he says, "Hey, can you call an ambulance?" And our friend is like, "What? Why?" If anyone ever asks you to call an ambulance, just do it right away. Like I'm sure that they have a good reason. I'm sure they're not just getting you to do it for fun because they want to hear the siren. I think that they probably need some help. And so he's like, if you could just call him, that'd be great. Can you please just call him? You know, and he's being very calm. And so our friend walks up and pokes his head out of the screen door, and he sees that Spence, though calm, is standing there, and there is a baby alligator around his foot. And that's the way you look at me when I tell you that I'm from the U.S. Now, coming here at a time where tourism in the U.S. is way down. Yeah, people aren't coming to visit as often. It's like if you know, people used to love to come visit all the time and then something happened. It'd be like if you went over to your friend's house all the time growing up and then one day you stopped going and your friend was like, why? Why wouldn't you just come over like you used to? Come hang out. And you're like, oh, well, last time I was there, your dad threw a plate at my head, so I think I'm good coming over for a while. You know? And so tourism is down in the U.S. People are choosing other places to go. And one of the main places that they're choosing to come is to Europe. It's all these places, like, you know, some people will come to Berlin. A lot of it is happening in Spain with Barcelona and Madrid, in Italy, you know, in Paris as well. And it's getting to the point where there's so much tourism, people are actually calling it like over tourism. You know, and this is happening at the same time as like massive heat waves, like wild heat waves, some of which we've never seen before. It's never been as hot as it is now. It's very hot. Luckily, not here today. But this week you had, you know, one of your hottest days on record. I can't even imagine what that must have been like, because you all are like fit people. Like you get on bikes to go put, you have to understand, my frame of reference is the US. So the fact that you're even walking next to a bike is leaps and bounds. You know, I can't imagine trying to ride a bike in that heat, or running. Some of you run. And so that's wild that this level of like over tourism is happening at the same time as this heat wave. And there are people in Paris, there are people in Spain and Italy that have had enough. They're losing it over this. You know, they're protesting the tourists. They're over here being like, stop it. Stop coming here right now. Talk amongst yourselves and spread it out throughout the year or something. But this is too much. You know, you have places like, I could be wrong about these numbers, but I think in Barcelona you have like 1.6 million people living there, but like 26 million people visit throughout the year. That's wild. I understand that if you live in Barcelona and you're trying to ride your bike, eventually you're like, get out of the way! You know? And then if you live in Barcelona, you're tired of all these tours everywhere all the time, and you start freaking out. You might get a reputation for being a little bit rude to tourists, and then you'll be New York. Oh. But people are doing the best they can to protest. There's been all these different types. People get creative and stuff. There's one where they were shooting tourists with water guns throughout the day. You know, get out of here! Ah! You know, like when a dog tries to pee on the carpet. You know what I mean? You know? Although as far as protests go, you can tell that these are like good people doing the protesting, because that's what you came with, water guns. For water gun. I don't know. I'm coming from the U.S. where it would have just been guns. Like this. You can tell these are people who have a deep moral core, because you used water guns to protest tourists during a heat wave. They probably didn't even understand what was happening. You know what I mean? They were probably over here like, oh, the Spanish are so hospitable. They saw how hot we were. And then some strangers we didn't even know were like, cooling us off. You know, and I I get the genuine frustration though, but this is the main problem is that whether it's business or whether it's government, systems have a magnificent way of pitting us against each other. Like there are people that are local that are upset because obviously with all this tourism, Airbnbs are shooting up. Airbnbs raise the price of living in the area, so then people are getting priced out of their homes. They're getting priced out of the areas that they grew up in. They have to find somewhere else to live, all for people who don't live here, who are just coming to peak, and then they head home. And that can be incredibly frustrating, but that's the people who are coming to visit didn't come up with a master plan. Airbnb and the government that allows Airbnb to run rampant are the people to blame. You should be taking, like, if you're gonna take anger out on anybody, it should be the local government and the Airbnb that allows it to run rampant. You should be using the water guns on the computers at this. You know, because I think that's the main way that systems get to stay intact. They see this, Airbnb sees it, and local government sees it, and they're like, well, we get to rake in money while the people that live here blame somebody else. Why would we ever change our practices? You know? And I don't really know what the exact fix is. You know, I remember when Airbnb was like at your house. There was a time early in Airbnb's history where you were just renting a room in someone's house, and so they lived there, and then they collected the money from you staying with them like a little mini hotel. But that was like easier because then they lived here, so they cared about the home, they cared about the community, and you got to get a taste of like local life. And you could even ask them, hey, is there anywhere I should go to eat? And they would tell you, this is where we're going to eat tonight. And sometimes you would actually have a meal with your host. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing. And then like private equity and more money got involved, and so it ruined it. Because now an Airbnb is also like sometimes worse than a hotel, because they'll let the person who owns the Airbnb set the rules. So now you have someone setting these insane rules for the Airbnb. Like, you can't just check out. You can't just take your trash, put it outside, and leave. There are all these rules. Like, you have to make sure to wash the cabinets, wash all the dishes and everything, wipe everything down, you know, give our dog a bath. Also, you don't get charged a cleaning fee that you end up getting charged anyway, because in the small print, it was like, pick up our kid from school. And you didn't see that part. So now you're spending all this money on Airbnb to just go somewhere nice like Italy. And then you get to Italy and everyone's mad at you for visiting Italy. But you're also mad because you're like, the rules in this Airbnb say I have to buy this house before I leave.